As we begin to focus on any symbol that is the greatest one for us, any symbol that is profound to us, that we feel it is our door to our next door. When you look at the symbology that life has thrown at you, you are at first acknowledging your attention to your memory. You're noticing that as you perceive different layering, different imagery that is associating to your sense of being, you're finding your ways of thought changing. And you're realizing that even though you are this really solid physical construct, within you innately there's a very fluctuating sense of being that is very dynamic. So we have many layerings in this sense of multidimensionality, because when we observe our self-awareness, it is as if the lighter always belonged to the thumb. You can see that everything has a sense of intermediary, because your introduction to your greatness has been created based on a vast scale of separation. We do not avoid separation in the sense that we work in ways with the separation, that we become the space between the lines. We become the unity that is in observance, static with the cosmos. We see that there are many elements within our mind, and if the mind thinks about the mind, then there is an eternal confusion of the ability of imagination to make infinite shapes to distract you from where you need to be. And where you need to be is immediately right here. You need to feel your presence. You need to see that you're comfortable with your knowing. And so how you activate this knowing is by not pushing away all your problems, by allowing it to absorb in a sense within the moment where you are the greatest expression. And when I say you take the letter U and see that there's a part of the universe within all senses of individuation. You begin becoming poetry for yourself in the sense that every moment there's a new introduction of self to self. You see that when animals die, the greater cyclical intelligence has always found the lower cyclical intelligence absorbed in it. So if a greater being could speak, it would perhaps say, find yourself through me, through yourself. Because your cycle of change is within my greater cycle of change. And even the one you think that I am, even the greatness of the cycle of change that you perceive to be your God, even beyond that there are greater cycles of change. And so we become friends with chaos, and we go on pleasant walks in the park, and we see that even the doves are talking about existential madness. Because in a sense, your sense of playfulness with your ideas allows you to see new ways in which your spotlight of attention is focusing on a reality. Because you see, when you in a very solid way accept that reality is shaped in one way, your attention is constantly trying to create a reality in which your comfort has accepted that shape. So we do not want to be comfortable in our individuality without an awareness of collectivity. Because your collectivity is truly showing you the value of your individuality. So the honor that perhaps followed the blade entering the stomach of a samurai was one that the individuality honorably dissolved into that which was the essence of the ancestor. You see, your life is your images, or any image that is present to you, showing you what you are. How could your presence not teach you of presence? How could you be alive and not know about life? That which you need to know is the allowance of creative expression for your more liquefied state of being, to show your solidity, that it is not that you have to only be solid or only liquid, but the sense that the intelligence is one of passage, and we are on this existential pilgrimage, navigating through different memory fields. You see that sometimes memories don't belong to you, but they're accessible because your mind belongs to a greater mind. And similarly, we take the metaphor of the mind as the intelligence that has brought us here today. We take the moment as a precious gift to see that there is always a gift in the moment. There's always a new way to translate the moment, to become aware. Your mind may shift in an instant. So begin by bringing yourself to a sense of trust within so that instruction may apply. Let the liquid sense of being communicate to the solidity, just like how a river communicates to the rock. You need to see that within the emptiness that your solidity can observe, it can then understand that through that emptiness there are greater forms of manifestation. So you must navigate through a sense of dissolution where you have taken off your jacket. And so you might feel chilly, you might feel different, but your walk continues. And even the doves of madness fly away. You see, your subtler reality, which you conceive to be your mind, is actually a moment where information is just simply being relevant because it's being kept relevant. Because you have not explored beyond your own relevancy. You have not seen that when you have touched a leaf, how did the leaf feel when you touched it? Because existential experience is not limited. Because just like how you do not judge a person because you see there's freedom of speech, freedom of being, once you're aware of natural existential law, your intelligence aligns because you have walked in the Holy Lands which you thought you were always one step behind. The mule may see the carrot that is held by the stick, but if it stops walking and it sits down, the carrot has fallen to the ground where it has always had reach. So the reach of your being is one where you want to have infinite advancement. So after I have kept the most organized life in constant flow, I shall break that momentum, just like how the white pool ball hits all the other colors. And so we see a breaking. So I want to constantly create myself, to break myself in a grand observance. And it is not me that is doing that. It is the natural process of life which every elder recognizes that after they have communicated their last statement, their passage is a silent one. And so every traveler who has had consciousness to be self-aware has given himself the permission to let infinity flow into manifestation. You are the gateway into form. You are the shape that is shaping. And there is a profound element to this because you have an ability to explore yourself as a creator. Not just a creation that is still in simply how it is directed. We are given commands in regards to how our existential design will show itself. But the sense that we are rebuilding our realities within our own memory structure, but actually seeing that non-linear intelligence is our own trust in existence, allowing us to see how we can expand. Only in these visions of our own comfort, of our own trust, may we sit at the table where our greatest ideas shall meet us. The writer that you seek to be is one that has already written, and so you are simply rereading the book that is on the shelf. Because your mind is one that it knows that the desire, once you get honesty, it is not that desire leaves you, you get an existential desire. You get the feeling that life needs to prosper because your presence is present among all. So you do not take away from the machine. You do not take away from the life that has gone against you. You do not take away from the patterns that you're uncomfortable with. You simply see that the pattern which you think you are is really not the pattern that you are. That in the absorption of all pattern, divinity is found to be the sacredness and as simple as a smile that knows where it is. Become comfortable in your form, because it is your positioning into how you shall, in a sense, expand or evaporate into your formlessness. Take simple metaphors with you. Do not carry heavy luggage. You do not need a lot of your memory to collapse on you, because when memory engages, emotional patterns just begin to speak. Emotions have voices which you need to listen to, which you haven't. But if you're traveling, you need to have your seatbelts on. So what that means is that you do not take away from your memory. You accept your memory, you accept your teachings, you accept the position of life that you have. You simply navigate with a sense that the present is going to tell you something new. So a sense of new needs no guilt to receive, needs no sin to receive, needs no lack of knowing to receive. You have the knowing, you have the potential to receive the message, now hear it. The ability to hearing comes from a calmness and stillness in how you are allowing life to happen. Once you let life to happen, your greatest ideas become real. You begin to see that you're walking with all opinions which pulled you into new states of thinking. Because man is a thinker that could never be shaped, and the beauty in that was infinite potential. So with the blessings that we have, our own sense of existential being, once we have touched the existence, once our hands have felt the dirt, then we may comfortably begin working with the constructs of a thinker. The thinker is simply that which is serving existence, so it is dissolved. Its purpose is existence. Once your purpose becomes life, how could there be any act that is wrong? How could the way you're chewing gum have any sin? Your jaw moves the way it does simply as how your words are combining in your mind to be a thought. Language is structured for your luxury, but as you become sensitive, you confront death and breaking. And breaking means that in your own silence, even then there's still breaking of thought. There is the point that depth begins when the lightning strikes, and in an instant, revelation is to know that the nature of man is beyond man, and hence the present moment is the only capture of all that will happen. Bless yourself as you are the blessing that you shall receive. And in your patience recognize that prayer was your every thought, but in a sense also your greatest intention as a being to express. Because I have seen flowers, and similar to men, flowers open up when it's their time. And you may not understand why you're captured in the dirt, and you may not even feel sprouted. You may feel life has thrown you in a ditch, and you feel as dirty as the plastic bag that is killing our planet. But that plastic bag also serves a purpose, because every thought that is combined in your mind to have meaning is taking you to a point where you begin to say, Almighty presence, Almighty life, you have brought me thoughts, you have brought me to the throne where I have met the king of my greatest vision, but I am still not satisfied. And you see, in that sense, all that is required is your natural breathing to see that all that you thought you were not allowed to do was not true, because you're breathing. You were allowed to breathe. Your breath knows it is allowed. It continues. Once you're aware of the intelligence of space and time, you are the space and time of any conception. So you see, parallel realities are simply the mere projection of your design to be more creative. The design wants to explore itself within itself, so there's always a sense of design in nothing. We need to absorb ourselves in our simplest metaphors, but to also understand that within our simplicity we have the appreciation of the cosmos. So that when I see an ant, I do not see an ant, I see the greatest value. I see a star gazing at me in its own way. And so once you look at the mirror, you too have a hue, you too have a glow. And this glow is not the one that perhaps your loving family has promised you. You see, there's one sense of journey where there's trust and, I'm prepared for the journey. This sense of journey you're not prepared with, because it needs no preparation. This sense of journey is one of collapse, so your goodbye is also being absorbed in the black hole of space and time. Because you see, where man cannot think, there is no thinker to walk in new turfs. But now we need to create these thinkers by understanding that man's greatest communication with anything to be greater than him is through his sense of inspiration, because he truly becomes his touch. When man begins to see that devotion is your ability to appreciate the moment for what it has, the moment reveals itself. You begin to see that you're no longer looking at the walls of your room and the walls of your routines, but you're simply gazing out of a broken window because you are that rock that is thrown. You are thrown into a different nature of reality, and how could you be the same once you have seen that the restaurant beside you has better food than the restaurant you used to go, you know? You appreciate the simplest things as much as you appreciate the complexity. Because similar to the feeling we get when we open the button of a blazer, there is a sense of release in when you unleash yourself from thoughts of distraction, the thoughts of disturbance, the thoughts of a noise which you think does not need to be here. But everything is present because the intelligence of the moment allows itself to land properly. So the intelligence of the pilot of consciousness, which is every being that is recognizing he is the navigation of his attention, begins to see that the moment is where we have the greatest sense of control, because we are not the controller. The intelligence of life is. We need to allow greater intelligences to be perceived in a sense where we are allowing ourselves to become part of that energy. So in other words, if I want to become friends with you, I will have to spend time with you. I would have to engage with you. I would have to involve with you. I would have to look at the same things. So when we want to engage with higher senses of energy, which in our mind come as abstractions of the purest light, we see that the energies are simply archetypes within our own mind that are now, with the intelligence of our creative imagination, communicating to us, because the human activity has been communication. Because human communication is, again, its own seed, and it shall sprout again. So in other words, the words that I am speaking now are as natural as the vine on the branch that felt it was broken. Much blessings, because as life turns, we have always seen the other side. Much blessings and namaste.